Hi, you're watching the StartupFoundry.com. Special thanks to Austin Bunsen for inviting me down to SuperConf where this video was shot. Enjoy the show.
Hey, I'm Chris Jennings, Director of User Experience from Disqus, and I just finished talking at SuperConf here in Miami, Florida. I talked about user experience and how it fits into a lean startup environment. Disqus really didn't set out to be a lean startup, but we continuously deploy and we have quick iteration cycles. So when I first started, I was really confused of how UX fit into that process. So there's been a movement recently that's sort of focused on this exact scenario. It's called the lean startup movement, or lean user experience, lean UX movement. And I basically presented 3 hacks that we use at Disqus to sort of to get good results quickly, and those 3 were: 1, are design with constraints. Constraints fuel our creativity. So I presented Quora 1.0, where Rebecca Cox, wonderful product designer for Quora, wrote an article on how she basically didn't focus on visual design or branding at any point in the product design process. She went straight to HTML and use that technique basically to realize value quickly, rather than be distracted with visual design up front. So I basically spoke on how she had these constraints in place, and then added visual design after the fact to complement the utility of the site. Another constraint that's really fun and we're using right now at Disqus is, we're using it right now to redesign our admin panel. And it's called, it's by Luke W. It's called Mobile First Design. So essentially, you're forced to, let's say you have a situation where you have a lot of clutter and you need some sort of extreme constraint to reduce clutter. And that's essentially what we're doing right now with our moderation panel. And the trick there is that you only have, a small mobile space. So you have a screen, iPhone for instance. There's not a lot of room for junk. So the idea is that once you start trying to figure out what's essential, the product experience on a mobile or a web browser in the end will be better. And if your product supports location or maybe photo integration, it's also really cool that the phone has all these capabilities built in. So lean startup hack number 2 that I presented was we selectively deploy. So this is a process that was basically built for our developers, mainly for debugging. We can roll out features just for ourselves. So if I'm using Disqus, or if I'm viewing your site and you use Disqus, I might see a little bit of extra information at the bottom. I might be able to have some special moderation privileges, or we can just see some debug output. So Daniel Ha and I see basically hijacked this sort of functionality to roll out the new theme, our latest theme, Houdini. So the idea here is that we had a problem with the fact that our comment widget should work out of the box in all scenarios. So the trouble we had there was 90% of the time we're on a white background, the comment that is. But there's certain occasions where it's black background, red background, green background, and could be electric yellow or something. So we have no control over your website. So we sort of came up with a technique that we're calling environment agnostic design, which essentially inherits any sort of font face or font type, style, family, as well as color, background colors, and link color. And the technique also uses different shades of alpha transparent gray to sort of add depth where needed. We of course use it in our comment header. So we were able to not only test these things locally on our own machines, but we were able to use these feature switches, the selective deployment process, to see Houdini in the wild and test it ourselves, sort of like we were looking at, we were in a parallel universe. Everyone else was seeing the old theme, we were visiting these sites and seeing the new theme with real data and actual settings. So that's lean startup hack number 2. Number 3 was just design for delight. we redesigned our homepage over the summer 2010, and we had an opportunity to work with Soft Facade, an icon designer from Russia, to sort of just really work on some sort of illustration for the homepage. Our tagline for the homepage is "Discover Your Community." The idea was that we could show basically representations of communities throughout Disqus, from firefighting community to scuba diving to gaming community and that sort of thing. So this really is sort of a gamble. You spend money and a lot of time up front designing this thing in hopes that somebody might mouse over it and see the magnifying glass and discover the Easter eggs and stuff that are sort of included there. But if they do, let's say 1 out of every 30 people might see there's a StarCraft poster in the background of the gaming room in the illustration. Those people email a friend. They might tweet it on Twitter. Or luckily it's been posted on different CSS galleries and whatnot. But it caught someone by surprise. In the end, they've had a unique sort of humanly experience with our company. A lot of the time it's copy and paste code, moderate comments. There's a lot of negative spamming, trolls and stuff that people sort of sort through, and it's nice to have sort of a nice unexpected experience to sort of be the counterpart of that. So that's basically the 3 lean hacks that I've pitched on stage. I'll post the slides on Startup Foundry, and thanks a lot.